Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and welcome to Scrummage Africa. Today, we are privileged to have one of the coaches that has been um, training youngsters at high school level, Coach Libondo Shimenga. He'll be telling us more about where he started, schools that he has coached, and what he thinks about maybe the rugby game from the high school perspective. So, Coach, karibu sana. The first question will be, Coach Shimenga, labda growing up, where were you raised, high schools that you went? Just give us a background of Coach Libondo Shimenga in his past years.
Yeah, thank you for the scrummage and for this time. I'm Shimenga Libondo. I was born in a place called Bushangala. That's my home. I went to Musingu, then to school called Kilingiri. I happened to go to Egerton University. That's where I actually prompted my coaching and rugby career. I was playing for Wasps, that's Egerton Wasps. I've represented the country in several aspects. Then I went to my coaching high school. I started with the Chavakali High School. That was in 2002. That's where I started coaching. That's Chavakali High School. And then to St. Peter's High School and then Butla High School.
Okay. So, from that background, at some point, I read an article that you were into football. At some point, you played number 6 or 9. Uh, is that true? And how was it, or was it playing football in those in those years? And how did you now transition to rugby?
Yes, football was the game. My father really wanted me to play football. I was playing position 6 and 9, but the coach then called Shivachi, I know you know him, who was very tough. And it happened that during that time there was a trip to go to Nairobi, and that was by then called Black Rock. So it happened that I made that 1 or 2 mistakes and I was thrown out. Then I went to rugby. I started as a scrum half, then a hooker, and then from there I played the position which I believe I haven't played is locks. That one I haven't played, and eighth man.
Okay. So, in those years, I believe it should be in the 90s.
Yeah, 90s.
Okay, so in the 90s, rugby was not a popular sport in the country as compared to right now. So we had stereotypes about rugby that, okay, rugby was too physical. Maybe those years, from what I heard, that people used to dope a lot, especially using drugs to enhance their performances. So, how was it playing rugby in the 90s for you?
Yeah, it was interesting because rugby was basically in Nairobi, and like in Western, there are only few schools which were playing rugby: Musingu, Kakamega, Chavakali, Bungoma. There are very few schools which were playing rugby, and by then it was not as such in Western. It was basically a Nairobi affair. And then Nakuru part of it, then it started growing all of a sudden when now it changed now that rugby should be included in the sports calendars of the schools. That's when it started developing. But previously there was only the clubs which were in Nairobi basically dealing with rugby.
Egerton Wasps, how did it shape you as a rugby player? Because again, I understand that you are studying while also playing.
Yeah, Egerton Wasps gave me a platform to play because now I was playing also for Nakuru by then. So now joining a club and playing also for the university made me have more experience in terms of playing. and also knowing positions. By then in high school, there were no category like today, whereby you can easily distinguish that this particular boy can be able to play this particular position. We just used to play for having the passion to play, but not as structured as it is as today.
Okay. Now, into coaching, I would love to know how you transitioned into coaching, and which school did you coach first when you decided now this is what you want to do?
Basically, I just came and I was teaching practice in Chavakali High School. And after that, I was recalled there to teach, but I used to be in Nakuru. So I was called back there to teach on Board of Governors terms, and that's how I started coaching rugby. My first and second year, I will say it was not an easy one, because changing the culture which was there, and also getting players to know you. Remember, you are still very young from college. We have had several other coaches who have been with the players. So I like to appreciate like Mr. Maloba, who is now the coach in Shamberere. By then he was in Chavakali, and then the late Mr. Isiao Libweke, whom we managed to coach Chavakali, and started going to nationals.
Are there things that you'd say these were my achievements during my stint at Chavakali High School?
At Chavakali High School, it was a team. I cannot say it's actually personal, but it was a team. With the boys, we achieved to be at the nationals. That's 2004, 2005, and 6. We were able, the first game ever, I remember we were playing St. Mary's, Nairobi. By then it was, I think there were several people with St. Mary Nairobi, like, Paul Odera was there also. They were coaching. And they came, actually, they trained even on our field before going for the nationals. And we were able to beat them at the nationals. Our first group match game, 12-10. Yeah. And from there, we went up to nationals in Maseno, Nakuru, and so forth.
How many years at Chavakali High School as a teacher and a coach?
I was in Chavakali from 2002 to 2007. Okay. Yeah.
From there, which school did you move to?
From there, I went to St. Peter's Boys Mumias High School, where I taught up to 2019.
So in this period at St. Peter's Mumias, now you are coming from Chavakali. How was rugby at St. Peter's before you got there? And during that period, I think by the time you are getting there around 2000 and you said 2007, Musingu and Kakamega High were dominant in the regionals and county games at that point.
Yeah, by then there were only, like I can say, two teams which were playing very good rugby. That's Musingu and Kakamega High School. So when I went there, I knew there was a task ahead of me, and we were able to play very well during our first 2 years, and from there we started going also to the nationals.
It should be 2012, 2011 and 2012, your team started rising, and I remember at around 2012, it was a close call at Chavakali High School, Kakamega needing, I think, a sudden death penalty, or it was a drop goal, to eliminate St. Peter's Mumias. That time when St. Peter's now had come and were top of their game. How well did you build the squad, and what did you do right to build that squad that reached the final of the Western region that year?
Yeah, I think the scores were 5-6 during that time, during a game in Chavakali. And basically, remember, by that time, you were just to train the boys That is when the Form 1s come in, you at least pick a few whom you think they can be able to play. You can make even we used to make like interclass tournaments that you pick some. You can get some are in different games, but those will have passion and zeal to play. They'll come and be able to play, and from there you get that you'll actually have players, and when you have enough players, you will pick the best for you to have the team.
I think 2012, 2013, you fell again to Kakamega, but now came those years when you managed to qualify for the nationals, and I think you are the first coach to win the East African sevens title when the shorter version of the game was introduced at the regional level.
Yes, during those times we but like we in 2010 and below, we didn't have the sevens version in the KSSA category, but then it was introduced. So most times you will meet with Kakamega High School, and the scores were too like one difference of one. I remember also there was a game which we played against Kakamega High School on their ground, and the scores were 7-6. I like to thank God because I was the first coach to win the sevens category, which was hosted in Eldoret with St. Peter's, and that was 2016. And in 2014, that's when we went for the nationals in Mombasa, and we won. We beat Maseno. We were the champs then for 15s. We won against Maseno and went for Dar es Salaam for East African Games.
Okay, so winning those titles, the first East African title at school level, later on the 15th title again at St. Peter's Mumias. After that, all hard work. What did this mean to you as a coach and those crop of players that you are putting up?
Yes, most times as a coach, you like to see your players excel, and I was very happy, or I'm a happy coach, because most of my players were able to be picked by various clubs, and they were good in class, so they are able to transit to colleges, universities, where they got opportunities to be able to play for various clubs. And there are several players who have been playing for the national team, both in sevens and in 15s.
Okay, then you moved from there. I think you went to Butla. Again, the script changed. So now you are an experienced coach. How did you handle things differently, especially now that you are moving from St. Peter's to Butla? And the other question will be, I don't know how the ranks for the schools are, but for me, St. Peter's was a more known school as compared to Butla. So now making those shifts and now moving to this school, how did you handle things, and is there anything that you changed to ensure that Butla are a competitive side, because they had not achieved what they achieved before you stepped there?
Yeah, in 2020 I moved to Butla, and I'd like to thank even the administration there. That I was welcomed well. From there I started training, and during that time, remember, after I think the county games also, we had COVID which came in. So from there we were just to start to train from the scratch. So all the teams were at the same level, and we were able to train from the scratch. The Form 1s who are coming in, and the Form 2s and 3s who are continuing. And basically, if you train the boys the skill and discipline and the core values for the game, they'll be able to do well. And remember, St. Peter's had already an established culture of their playing and winning titles. So I had again to go to Butla and also start and be able to. But I like to thank everyone, because they put in their efforts, more efforts, and we were able to go to to the nationals with the Butla team.
Okay, so in these schools that you've been through, coach, are there moments that you feel this was my best moment? Maybe at Chavakali, maybe at St. Peter's, maybe at Butla?
Yeah, there are several good moments in those particular schools, but I can think in Chavakali, when we won against St. Mary's Nairobi, it was a good moment, because by that time I remember St. Mary's Nairobi was the school to beat. They were in very good kit, while in Chavakali we didn't have such good kit, so they were in their blue, white, stripped, very clean, and you can guess what our uniform would have been. And then while in St. Peter's, winning nationals by then rugby 15s, it was a wonderful thing, and also winning the East African sevens category as the first one is a very joyous thing. In Butla, first time going to the nationals as a school, it was a memorable event.
Okay. At some point, we had a change of rules, of which we were having 7s and 15s at the same time. And then there was a certain point where we had players that have played 7s. They are not allowed to, who have played 15s are not allowed to play 7s. There are such a rules that are applied in the school games. And I felt that maybe it was not good for these young players, because they are at a younger age and they need to test both versions of the game before they understand now, or they choose and specialize. What is your view on this rule that was used at some point, but I think they have now changed?
Sometimes the rules are made by people who are not versed with the game, and so as stakeholders you are just told to do like this, just follow the rules. But by then it was disadvantaging the players, because the rule, basically the rule was that if you qualify, like going for nationals and going for East Africa, then your players, if they were for 15s, will not be able to play for 7s, because they'll be at different venues. So that 7s might be being played on another particular field and 15s on another particular field. So basically that was the major difference, because when you are going out, like for the East African games, the games for 7s were to be played on a different field, and the game for 15s was to be played on a different field. So that was basically what was coming up with. But at the first end, when they started the rules were not favoring the players. But now after qualification, you will see, like in high school, you don't have a very much or very many players. You might have just only those who are playing for 15s, and not even have a team for 7s. Yeah.
Okay. So they've been that talk that if the national team needs to qualify for the nationals, for the World Cup, then we need to start at a lower age, maybe start at an academy level and not at high school level, where most people come to high school and then now they start getting the basics of the game. Do you think with the kind of preparations that maybe you used to put at the schools that you have been to, I've seen the level of competition maybe in the school games like this year at county level, at regional level, it was tough. But what happens when we go to maybe under 20 games? You find that okay, last year they managed to win, but if you look at the previous years, Zimbabwe looked way better than us. When we went to the World Junior Trophy, we didn't even win a game last year. So do you think high schools can give us proper preparation and that transition to have a proper national team that can take us places?
Yes, I remember rugby used just to be start from the high school, but at least for now, we have got several academies which are there uh, in different parts of the country. And when we have several academies, we have got the age grade development, which is, I believe, age grade development is bringing up good players from the lower ages, so that by the time they are joining the high school, they have knowledge of the game. They can be able to understand rules of the game. Unlike previously, you will start training these particular boys just from low one, if I can use that, and from a basic, because they had the background of football. But now with the age grade, I believe we can. But now going to World Cup is another story, because if as a country we want to go to World Cup, there should be investment. This means that there must be several financial muscles to be put into, because if you look at the training levels which are there, and it's our national team, but they need to be consistent. Like you need to have some funding for them to be in the camp. So I'll request, like the multinationals, the companies which are there, if they happen to sponsor our Kenyan teams, then we need to put a lot in the training, in the equipment, in the coaching, and also remember the players. We need to have player welfare, which most times lacks at a time. We have had several times our national players complaining they have not been paid. They cannot be able to pay rent and so forth. How do you expect such a person to perform? So if at all we have good player welfare, good structures in terms of the training programs, being not 2 weeks. Like if you want to go to national, look at the teams which are playing nationals, not national, the World Cup. How long do they come for their training? Yeah, you get they came for training like 6 months ago. Us, we shall be going for training for 2 weeks to the how do you expect us to compete?
And their clubs play high performance rugby.
Yes, and then two, they have professionalized the game. But for us, because we haven't professionalized the game, you'll get that most of our players, you'll get some are in colleges, some are to play for their clubs. So by that time, a player is thinking of how to sit for an exam, and you are telling him now to play for the country, and probably needs to finish that particular exam for him or her to get what, to graduate and get employed. So you get that even if you are the one, it's a 50-50 affair, but mentally you'll not put in your all. You'll just do your exam because you must have your certificate as a country, because we haven't professionalized our game. And the remittances in terms of the remuneration of the player, like that's why I say player welfare very important for us. And if we might, if at all God opens ways for companies to come in, because as a country we have got talent, we have got passion, but we lack companies to come in and support, unlike other countries whereby companies will come in fully to support, fully to support the national team with very big checks to support them.
Okay, and seeing the national team maybe on international level, you get that we at some point we fail to get the basics right. Maybe the skills also in some scenarios have been wanting. And my question will be, do we teach basics and those basics of rugby well at high school level, or we are lacking it?
Basically, at times it's a stage fright. you can get a player being in a stadium whereby he has never been there. So this is the first time this player is there, but this is like the several times the other players have been there from other countries. So most times you get that, and then like what happened in Vancouver, we have changes in weather, whereby we need to go early, like 4 weeks to the game, so that we adapt. Now, when you're coming like from a hot area like Kenya, where temperatures are about 27, 25, 28. Now you're getting to a place where temperatures are going to negative. First of all, you'll pretend that you are okay, but in the long run, it will have an effect on you. So we need, like, if you are to go to a place, let us go there early, so that we acclimatize to that particular place. Then we need to have that synergy in the team. Most times nowadays, like developed nations use mostly the IT in terms of monitoring their players and so forth. We have some mistakes which we make, basic ones, which I believe if at all the player gets settled in the pitch as early as possible, we can be able to get scores and be able to win. But if we rush with some of the aspects, then we lose the game, especially the sevens, whereby we're only playing 7 minutes. You get a yellow card, you are done. Yeah. So we need to look at that. Training, basically, like in high school, I know the schools which are performing and so forth. High school, they do not have enough time to train, unless now with the introduction of CBC, they'll have enough time to train. Like these schools which have been told, you train only from 4 to 5:30. So the academic programs, from the moment a student wakes up to 4. So you are meeting this particular boy at 4, and you have like about 1 hour. 1 hour, if it's at most 1 hour 15 minutes. After that, the particular student must move very fast to go and take supper and go for preps. Remember, we have also teachers who are waiting, that this one has already delayed in the dining hall. Yeah. So as such aspects. So you can't really impact so much skill level at high school because of the time. Like skill level training requires a lot of time. I can tell you for sure, we have schools even which don't have cones. Even marking, marking any equipment. Like, which school has got a scrum machine? Yeah. So now you want to take this particular player to a national team. He's experiencing the scrum machine for the first time in Nairobi. They don't have scrum machine. I can tell you for sure, rugby balls are expensive. Schools can afford only 1 or 2 balls to be trained. How will you train handling in high school? We have only 2 balls. All the fences have got barbed wires. It hits on the fence, it's punctured. So it means you'll train tomorrow. So how will you train handling? So that basically, when it comes to equipment and so forth, most high schools, not even most high schools, 98% of the high schools don't have those particular facilities in terms of training. Then you have got in terms of time. So at high school coaches are really straining. Actually, to bring up a player to come to play, that time, you guys as a coach, you strain, because you must be the medic, you must be the father, the mother, and ensure this particular boy also is in class. You will be everything to that particular boy for him to perform. And remember also, some of the students who come, they come from humble backgrounds. You must be able to assist also this boy to settle. which means as a coach, if you want to excel, you must actually spend. Yeah, because this particular boy might not have even tissue paper, might not have even pens, leave alone pens, might not be having fare to come from home to school. And the parent will say, between fare and him coming, and there is no meal here, what do I do? So you get like high school coaches will go an extra mile to ensure that the players are in school. They'll struggle to use the minimal facilities which are there. I can tell you, when we were in St. Peter's, before making the other particular pitch of rugby, we used to share the field for football. Most schools share fields with football. And such scenarios will be found, like if you share, like you are sharing twice a week, and then the next day full pitch. The time you have a full pitch is when football are friendly, so it means you will not train. So there are no fields like for the boys to train from and so forth.
Talking of equipment and challenges, I think I learned the other day that Koyonzo, who are East African champions, do not have a rugby pitch for the high school, so they are forced to use the primary pitch. Some of the schools that we've been donating balls from AS Sports, and we learned that some of the high schools that are even going for nationals this year do not have rugby balls. So he had to give some of them. So I realized that equipment is a challenge. Talking of coaches being parents and maybe being medics and all those sorts, you've been in Vihiga County, you've taught in Kakamega County, and later in Busia County. Do you think rugby will have enough coaches, especially at high school level?
No, we do not have coaches as enough, because you'll get only one coach. You are the one doing everything. Like Chavakali, we were sharing the football pitch. Rugby, half. That's the only pitch which is there and is still there. In St. Peter's, we are sharing until we had the lower pitch for now for rugby. In Butla, we do not have any rugby pitch. We use the pitch for St. Catherine for the what are they called? Special school. And we were to negotiate with them so that by the time we are training, the special students are not there, because they'll just come to the pitch. So you can see even Butla doesn't have a pitch. It doesn't have. We must go from school, out of school gate, to go down to the special school for you to train. Yeah. So we don't have those facilities in terms of like balls. Now you see, you donate one ball. And there are more than 10 schools, and only the schools which are the ones which are the semi-finalists. What of these other schools which remain, and they are to play in sevens? And sometimes you go out with the balls, and the balls some people just steal. So you get to school, you don't have a ball to start for training for sevens. So if at all, like I say that we have got more balls to these particular institutions, and just for training, like for basic training, handling and so forth, and skill level, it will be okay. For the coaches, coaching, there are several courses which are there. The Kenya Rugby Union has been putting several courses which are there. Some are online. If you want to be a coach, you just need to go online, do the courses, look for where there'll be physical course. It means also you spend, because the school will not allow. So if you want to be a coach, you need to sacrifice your pocket to be a coach. But if you just want to be just to be taking students, taking students out in a bus, then that's a different scenario.
So talking of us having maybe a rugby coach, handling all those aspects, maybe strength, maybe in terms of medication, does it mean that at high school we are not also handling injuries properly?
We don't handle injuries in high school. We don't, cannot, even you have used, we can't handle. Because if a boy is injured, then you need to look for the means to take him to the hospital. Most high school coaches, I can tell you, they haven't done like the level 2 first aid or in terms of medicals, and even if you're there, you do not have equipment. Sometimes you are told that you might only have a deep hit. So yeah, how will you do? And cotton wool. So how will you do medication with the cotton wool? And probably have gone to the lab and gotten some spirit for grass burn. So how will you handle that? So in terms of medications, it's a very big challenge. Yeah, it's a very big challenge. I've seen we have been having a competition that sometimes the ambulance come, it's just the shell. It doesn't have anything. But you have been given, so what do you do? They say they have brought an evacuation vehicle. Yeah. Yeah.
So that means that we have a bigger challenge. And I think last week on Monday we are having a Twitter space conversation where one of the speakers was suggesting that now that we have many people doing level 2 coaches, maybe players, like the last week we saw Masimigongo and maybe a certification. Do you think now it's high time these players, maybe if there's a player, for example, at St. Peter's doing a level at Cabras ama Western Bulls doing a level 2 coaching, it should be attached to one of the schools around to also help and practice, so that we can also increase the base of coaches in the country, and maybe even the other aspects like the strength and conditioning and the medical field?
Yes, it's a good idea for players to do it, but I'll tell you it involves finances. We'll be funding this particular player to come to the school. The school will say, we have a budget. This is allocated to this. Okay? So we'll be funding them. That's why I told you, if you want to be a coach, you need to sacrifice a lot. Yeah, and if even if they are doing the courses, how will they travel? You see, because it might be doing like in Western Bulls, he is to go to St. Peter's. He'll not go there in a matatu and say, I'm a coach, so just drop me to St. Peter's. He'll have to pay. Yeah. And when he comes to the school, who will supposed to pay him or her fare back? Will be the coach. And when the coach goes, probably and say that they say there is no money. So what is there? So if at all we can have a good structure whereby these particular coaches can be attached to a particular team. And this one is a challenge to the union, because after all, these particular trainings are done with the union, isn't it? The union knows that this particular player X of Western Bulls is doing level 2. They attach him or her to a school, like let us say St. Peter's, Butla, and so forth, or Chavakali. They attach it. Then they facilitate the party, because we shall be building these particular players for the future. For us, we will learn to have ready-made, already those who are already up there and so forth, which will be different. So it's good for the training, but facilitation of this particular trainers or coaches to the various institutions who will be doing that. And remember, this particular player also, he might be in college or is having some other duties. Is nowadays we hustle. He is to hustle to get food. Will you hustle to get food, to pay rent, or you'll hustle to go and get the amount you're getting to go and train? Yeah. Okay. And then in high school, they are not employing what? Professional coaches. You come as a teacher. Like those who are done like physical education, they have done only part of a particular part in rugby, isn't it? But if you want to be certified, you need to do what? Certification courses. with the International Rugby Board, so they will not want to do it. Mostly will learn, mostly get that they will learn to go to people like the athletes, whereby you have one student, you go with him to the national, you train one, throws a javelin, you are at the national. Why have 12 for sevens who will be coming in for Mandazi while you can feed this one just you have, and you go to the nationals? Yeah.
Okay. Do you think then these trainings should also be targeted right now? Maybe we say if Central Region is having the games, we can target as now the Rugby Union have the trainings there so that we also equip these coaches who are at high school level and maybe most of them are teachers.
Yes, but sometimes union used to do that. They will send trainers, but I know they'll send at the nationals, obvious, at the Mombasa they'll be there, they'll be training there. But now this training should start from the sub-county level, because at the sub-county level we have got so many schools which are there with coaches in quotes, or teachers who have just taken students to do it, to play. So if we start those courses at the sub-county level, then we have got the county level, because from sub-county level, those who will be eliminated, they'll just be there. And you get at the sub-county level, we have so many good talent from a particular school, like a day school or so, who will not be seen anywhere in the country. After clearing Form 4, we'll be having a border. And that is the end.
Okay, so then talking of schools at sub-county level, I've seen an increase of number of schools playing rugby, especially in Kakamega County and Western Region. I'm not sure about the other counties or other regions, but for Western I've been following so much. And then post-COVID, we've seen a shift. We saw Butla come up strongly, Koyonzo come up strongly. We've seen Bwake come for the first time win the sevens. We've seen that school from Embu, All Saints Embu, come strongly, win one. Why is it that we have witnessed this number of schools increasing, especially in Western? And then two, where is the shift? Why is the shift that the renowned schools which have facilities are now dropping in terms of the graph, and we've seen now new faces rising?
I'll say like in high school, basically, it depends with the administration. Yeah, high school bends with the administration. If you have good administrators, you'll be able to excel. If you have an administrator who loves a particular sport, will be able to support. But also it depends with us coaches. We might we must blame the administrators, but also us ourselves. We are not on the pitch. We only come on Friday when you are going for the trip on Saturday. So also the administrator will not fund you. So if at all we are able to put him a lot, and then you can face the administrator, tell him this is what I've been doing and so forth, you'll be able to excel. But basically it will depend with the administrator you have for you to excel in a particular game, because you might have good ideas, but how will you come from school with students without the approval of the administrator? How will you move without the bus? Yeah, so that is it.
Talking of administration, I just wanted to know, do you feel like rugby marketed St. Peter's at some point? Do you feel rugby marketed Butla at some point? Do you feel rugby has marketed you as a coach?
Rugby has marketed everything. All you have said is 100%. Yeah, it has marketed St. Peter's, Butla, myself. That's why I'm saying, like, if we have got more funding and equipment at lower levels of the game, at the national level, the coaches will have an easy time, because you can have a good player who might not know how to pass, or who might not know how rules basically. Yeah.
In the coaching, as we finalize in the coaching years that you've been, are there any regrets?
Yeah, there are regrets there. Like if I told a ref messes your game. I've several games which were messed up. If you are messed up with a ref, like a game of sevens, at one point I played a game of sevens 14 minutes in the next half, despite the stoppages which were there, and I felt bad. Also, we have got what I can call unethical issues which might crop up, and you have lost unfairly. So you regret, why were you training? And then at times when the students don't excel to expectation, what you expect, you say all this input, you like in high school is different. You'll put there all that you have. You can't put 50 and expect to go anywhere. So you say, I've put in a lot, but I can't be able to let us say to get what I want. Like you have trained like for a tournament, but then you realize there is no bus. That day the bus was booked, and you assume there is a bus, or you have trained and you are simply told that there's like Form 4s are having a symposium. You see, again, you are torn between this particular boy excelling in his academics and him going out. So you are left there as a coach to just let them, because if you happen to force your way, the boy might also be affected negatively.
You talked about hours, and I remember I was asking Coach Gibson Weru at some point in one of the interviews that we did, what is the difference between a South African player? Why is it that we can have a South African player play at 19 years at his level best? And then he told me the difference is the hours that we put in the country. So do we have an hourly problem in the country? Because if you tell me that at high school we are training between 1 hour 30 minutes and 1 hour 15 minutes, we also have this challenge whereby at club level I've been observing mostly the clubs in Nairobi, whereby people have to go to work and maybe come, they also train between 1 hour to 2 hours. So do we have hours problem in the national at club level, and is this impacting how maybe we play on international stage?
We have a challenge, like what I said first, professionalization. You see, like in developed nations, this particular kid knows he's going to play rugby. Okay, he's starting to play rugby when he or she is 4 or 5 years. Okay, compare him or her with the kid who will be 16 years. That is 10 years difference. Who is coming to handle the rugby ball for the first time? He only sees the football ball. So, like in high school, you cannot remove this particular kid from class. You'll have trouble with the administration and with the other teachers. So and the parent. And some parents will not want their kids to play, despite their kids being talented. They will not want. They will refuse you. In fact, some will sue you. Yeah. In St. Peter's, I had a scenario whereby I was written a letter by several lawyers that are in my file. One time I'll call them with a cup of tea and tell them, this letter you wrote to me about your kid. Yeah. So you get some parents will not want their kids to play. Then the time of challenge, the kids must be in class From class, they go to change, they train, they must go to eat, because also food will not be kept for them. If they delay, the cooks who are going home.
I used to miss food.
Yeah, you'll miss food. You will not get the food, or the food is there. Some of those who are not playing, they'll grab that food and eat. When you are coming from the field, there's nothing. You see now, as a coach, you must now see these players have eaten before they go to class. If not, they'll stay hungry until tomorrow when they'll be having their breakfast. So we have that. Then, like work, if you are in a club, you must go to work. If you don't go to work, you will be sacked. So between going to play, to train, and being sacked, which one? And getting job, in Kenya how it's tough. Yeah. So you just go to your work. After that, you go to train. And in most cases, like in most cases, you can live there and it's raining. Immediately you have changed, it's raining. And you can't play in the rain. It's obvious. It's automatic. You can't train until tomorrow. Yeah.
Coach, so now you have achieved that one. Nationals with Butla, nationals with St. Peter's. You've done well at Chavakali. I've seen every Kenya Cup final, you taking photos with your former players. Is there maybe a player that you feel was very talented at high school level but did not achieve his level best, or he did not transition well? And then you'll talk about transitioning. Are we having proper transition of the talents, especially at high school level? And then you'll finalize by telling us what are your future plans as a coach?
Transitioning, there are several. I can't mention them because of I wouldn't want to lower their self-esteem, because I know that all of them will follow. So there are several who are not transitioned to club and so forth, and it's not because of their mistake. It's because of where they stay, and having support of, let us say, their parents, guardians, let us say, to move them. Like, let us say if a player is coming from Busia, he comes from Teso, those sides of Teso. How will there's no club? How will he, like, let us say, come to Kabaras? Where will he be staying? So that talent will just get rotten in those sides, okay? And then, like, some players will go to colleges which don't have rugby. Yeah, they'll end up. You have been called to a college or a university, but that particular university, basically they don't recognize rugby. They don't play. So that player will be there because he will be able now to study. Yeah. So in terms of transition, we have several talent which just gets lost because they cannot be able to be at a position where their talent can be seen, and you can't now assist them further than that after high school. Yeah. My target right now, I'm getting old.
Maybe have you mentored someone to take up your shoes?
A coach. There are several coaches. I have several coaches with me. Several. I can start with Amusala, who was coaching now. I think Western Bulls. Yeah, Amusala is a coach. I've got Jay Cox, who is the Kisumu RFC. I've got Raf coaching Sigalagala, and I'm proud of them. I have several of them. I have Omuka Alan, who is with KCB. Yeah, okay. Kabaras have several players. Yeah. Chebu is still in St. Peter's. Yeah. So I have several. I have very many. Yeah. Some are there, we just meet their coaches. They tell me they are coaches in high school. So there are several. Yeah, who are there, who will be able to take it to another level. Yeah, rugby to another level. I still coach, by the way. Yeah, but when they are there, I'll call them to come and assist. But I still coach.
7th or 15th?
Yeah.
7th or 15th. Which one do you prefer? Especially coaching.
Coaching.
Yeah.
Hey, coaching sevens. Yeah. I prefer sevens because I of the time, and it doesn't have several issues to deal with. Like you see, 15s scrum machine. You need to have how many props? There are few people you can be able to manage. If you want them to go to, like, let us say if I'm in Kakamega and I want them to play in Kisumu, you just get a Nissan. Bargain with them 12 people. You are in Kisumu. What of 15s? Where will you carry the 30 fellas? You need a bus. Okay? So sevens is good because of the structures, the speed, and so forth. And sevens, you can easily identify the positions who can play and so forth. In 15s, sometimes you can gamble a position. Yeah. You might think this one can play a good 13. Have you ever played number 13? What of 14? What of 12? Okay. So you can assume this player is good, can be able to play 13. Hey, put him there, you'll see wonders. Okay? But in training, you can say, this one can be a good 14, 15, and so forth. Put him there, you'll see wonders. So sometimes 15s require a lot of resources. And time to be put in. It doesn't mean that 7 doesn't require a lot of resources and time, but it's because of the manpower and the number of people involved. The more you have, the more the resources you have. It's just like in your house. If you have one kid, feeding might not be a problem. But if you have 10, yeah.
Yeah. And we've seen, I think, sevens, the emergence of different schools. And the good thing about sevens, they can upset you anytime, and you can upset anybody anytime. So I think that is it. Thank you very much, Coach, for honoring this invite to have this interview with us. I think if we have another aspect that we will love you to talk about, we'll also invite you once again. And for the viewers, we are shooting this from Zabab Limited Studios, located in Mabonga, Sichirai. This is Kakamega County. So this is a nice place if you need accommodation while you are in Kakamega on a short stay. You are here for a week, for a day, for a month. Be sure to contact us. We'll be putting the numbers there, and you can be able to come here and relax. It's a good place away from the CBD, so you'll have ample time to relax and cool down. So keep it the scrummage. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this video.